everybody, welcome to OUTTAKE ESL. This is Sean, and what I want to take a look at today is a presentation I do on friends and family. Now, I did this presentation for my 7th grade class, and I kind of consider it maybe a high beginner or low intermediate sort of class based on the language we're using here. Also, I use this presentation around the time of Thanksgiving. Very frequently in China, you will find in private training centers and some of the more in private trainings specifically, they'll tend to have lessons based on sort of American cultural holidays, and I find that really just kind of maybe not so useful. I don't think it's really necessary for a foreign student in their native country to be learning about Thanksgiving this time of year. Not that I don't. It's not because I'm anti-Thanksgiving by any means. It's certainly an integral part of my culture and my identity. But I feel at this stage in their learning, it's just not necessary to be learning words like turkey and pilgrim, unless they're directly engaged with it somehow. You know, I didn't know about Chinese holidays until I came to China, and then I started to learn some of the language and the vocabulary that's used. So I don't see if these students aren't either traveling to America and are going to be spending a year there and would like to know a little about the holidays, maybe then you would want to give them a little bit of this language. But otherwise, I feel it's more necessary for them to be developing their skills to a proficiency where they can talk in detail about other nations and other cultures and their holidays. So I really don't think it's necessary to do lessons about like Christmas and Thanksgiving, just because of all the language that's involved and all the vocabulary that's involved, and it's so specific and so unique just to those holidays. You won't really be talking about Santa Claus under any other context but Christmas, and if you're not celebrating Christmas, it's very difficult to remember those words. So instead, I chose to use this presentation, Friends and Family. I feel it kind of expresses the same sort of sentiments of the holiday in a lot of ways, and it's also useful just in their sort of conversational skills. So let's get started out and take a look at Friends and Family. And what I do here is I start off, as I do every class, with a salutation, Mr. Good afternoon or good morning, Mr. Sardo. I like to also begin the game at this point. Once I say good morning, class, I like to maybe pick out a few individuals and introduce them to the game and maybe start a brief conversation with them. Everything good? How are you? Just kind of morning greetings, good to see you, kinds of things, so and so. I introduced this game here called Gridlock. What you do is you draw on the board a grid of maybe six rows and 5 columns. So you have 30 squares. You put all your letters in there, and then I just kind of fill it in with letters or with numbers. And I also have this sheet here. I've drawn a bunch of the same grids, and what I did here is I put X's on different spots, and these X's would be points. So with my 7th grade, I specifically asked them to say a word that begins with a letter. So they have to say B, boy, or F, fish, or something like that, just to get them kind of using their language. Once again, I will, to begin this class and introduce the game, I'll maybe say a quick little conversation, quick little greeting to a few students on my name sheet, and then I will award them a point and give them a chance to get a point for their team right off the bat. After that, we start the class. Do our class rules here. These they should know them by at this point in the semester. So, Qing Zhou Sha, please sit down. Just my basic no eating, no drinking. And I always like to start the class really at this point with Shuo Ying, or speak English. So this is kind of one I always review, no matter how many times we go over it. I always sort of start the class here. And I like to call this my warm-up session. I sort of stretch it out, like if it was a sport or something like that. It's time to stretch out our mouths, get our mouths all warmed up. And so I do a little phonics session. Here I did some consonant sounds. This is the particular one. This is a good one to look at, and that's the V sound. Buh, 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 buh. It's good to kind of play it out. Buh, 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 buh. Repeat after me. Buh, 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 buh. Just kind of get there. Like I said, it's just about getting your mouths warmed up and used to speaking English, or using that memory, muscle memory that you kind of need with language. W, take a look at web. We look at F, and I also chose to go through different forms of the same F sound, like FF, coffee, also just the F sound. PH also makes F as an elephant, and sometimes with GH makes F as in laugh, and always kind of make sure pointing out the GH in the spelling of the word. And then we just kind of do the exercises here, and I show them words in their phonetics symbols or phonetic spelling, and then I see if anybody can figure it out. Usually I'll go through it and I'll leave out the F, and I'll say like, okay, this is E, O, da, E, O, da. What's this up here? What's this here? F, so F, E, O, da. And usually the students figure it out. They're starting to put it together, making the word. Beautiful. Here I might show them the picture. I say, this is something we drive. Okay, what's this here? What's this here? Buh, buh, buh. This is students. This is what we went over. And I have it on the blackboard, so I can always just kind of point it. What's this here? Buh, buh, buh. Okay, this is an A, and this is So what's the word? Land. Ox. Cough. So, what's this here? What? I, N, D. This is O. O. So, in, D. In, D, O. What's the word? This here. Window. And in the words, you always want to kind of make sure you're pointing out the spellings. Like, okay, so like in the case of Cliff, you want to point out the FF, right? Making the F sound. Maybe this is when I do this here. Does anybody know what this is? Okay, so this is an A, and this is it's a wave. I'm going to point out the vowel here. I might say that's O, and this is T, and this is O. So it's when it's this thing here. Take a photo. Vacuum. Whale. And last one. This is what happens when I'm in a race and I come in number 1. So I win. This one's pretty easy. They usually see the I and they figure out it's it. Usually I do maybe like two or three words. I'll format maybe 2 or 3 words for each sort of vowel sound or each sound we're looking at. Each consonant sound, or so maybe 2 or 3. So maybe 9 to 12 slides I'll have for this section. A lot of times if I feel it's just they get the hang of it and it's becoming a little uninterested in it, I'll just kind of skip ahead to the dialogue part of the class and skip over 2 or 3 slides. And we begin to talk about friends and family. And so what I did here is, so the first week of the lesson plan, I'll look at just friends, kind of talking about friends, and then the second week we'll just talk about family. And I start off with a listening exercise. This is a listening exercise that they have to listen to me. So for this I say, okay, First we go through the flags here: Germany, different nations, China, USA, Canada, Japan, and England. I believe their textbooks teaches them China, USA, England, and Japan. I decided to add in Germany and Canada. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, number one, I visited the Great Wall. I live in Beijing. I like dumplings. I speak Chinese. Which one is it? China, very good. Number 2, I visited Big Ben. I live in an apartment in London. I like fish and chips very much. I speak English. What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Yeah. Just kind of comprehension exercise. Number 3, I visited the Statue of Liberty. I live in a suburb of Washington. I don't like hamburgers. I speak English and Spanish sometimes. I think it is. USA. Number 4, I visited the Brandenburg Gate. I live in a small apartment in Berlin. I like sauerkraut and bratwurst a little. I speak German. 5, I visited Quebec. I live in a house outside Ottawa. I like poutine. I speak English and French sometimes. Canada. And lastly, number 6, I visited Mount Fuji. I am from Tokyo. I like sushi and I speak Japanese. Also in here, the language I like a little, I don't like, I like very much, is also part of their curriculum. So I tried to kind of combine that in when I was talking about maybe the foods that are specific to a different nation. Also visiting, talking about friends. In their curriculum, it kind of refers to sort of basically foreign friends for the most part. So that's why I kind of introduced the nations here. So we go say it in English. And he is from, where is he from? Where's Jongwoo? And they all know this. And I said, but he speaks Chinese. So getting them to differentiate between sort of the difference in the nouns. He is from England. He is English. And this part of their unit kind of focuses a lot on that, sort of speaking on he is from England, he is English, he speaks English. He lives in China. He doesn't speak Chinese. Well, this is kind of one that I don't know. I'm one of those teachers that sort of saw the trend and decided that I was going to try and correct it. I always find the language that they're using to talk about the USA and being an American and kind of being aware and experienced a lot of different sort of communities in America and the United States. I know that really sort of the proper name of the United States of America is USA, really. And so when I say I am from Megwa, in China they're taught very often to say America. And being an American, I'm pretty sort of acutely aware that the Canadians and the Mexicans and they take a little bit of offense to that. So I'm always sort of correcting students here when they say, are you from America? I'm always trying to sort of alert. I'm always sort of trying to get them to emphasize it's actually the United States, the USA is the more correct terminology. Because, if you say America, you're sort of talking about North America and South America and all those nations involved. So it's very important. that they understand that the USA is just a part of those continents. But we say I am American. And say inch. So here I have just kind of a quick little story, and I want them to kind of give me the translation of it. So she is from the USA. She lives in England. She speaks English. Just a quick little story there, and I just kind of want to sort of integrate that here. So I have a quick letter from a pen pal, and I have all the nations down here. I can also speak blah blah. This is out of order. This shouldn't be the wrong slide. Yeah, let's go to the next one. All right, there's a missing slide in here. What happened? Let's go out. Let's get out of this for a second. Find that slide. Here it is. Looks like the slide is out of place. Sometimes this happens in class. It can be quite frustrating. It takes a lot of time to prepare these. A lot of times you don't have anybody looking at it. You don't have an editor coming back and combing through it. I find myself going over these things constantly. And this is all stuff I have to create mostly. Some of the imagery, I always have to kind of, if there isn't a flash card for it, I have to kind of create a flash card using sort of what I know is available to me. And once again, all these illustrations are from the ESL library of subscription service online, and I would say definitely suggest checking them out if you are teaching ESL. But it says here, it says, my name is Pierre. I am from, where do you think? I am from blah blah, and I speak French. Go through the nations once again with the class: England, France, Canada, Brazil, USA, Canada. A little bit of cultural sort of, I'm trying to introduce a little bit of sort of, cultural studies here with Canada. I can also speak blah blah very well. English. In Canada, they speak French and they speak English. My blah blah works in China as a teacher. I hope to visit one day. So here's just kind of a basic guess. Uncle? I like blah blah culture very much and have read many books about it. So what do you think these words? I like Chinese. Yes, very good. Now spell it. So C-H-I-N-E-S-E. I think it's good to try and integrate a little bit of spelling in there whenever you can. Sort of reading, and if you can integrate it in there to some degree. As it is an oral English class, I think maybe not so much, but it's useful to bring those into the classroom, especially writing, and it's something that's always very difficult for students. I can't speak Chinese, but my uncle does, and he what do you think he does? He can speak Chinese, and I can't speak Chinese, so he what? Helps me spell it. Helps. H-E. And sometimes you can just have, if they can't think of the word, they should know helps by now. You might just say, what letter? What letter? You go back and forth with your team and say this, whoever gets the most letters will get the word finally. It was nice speaking to you. I have to make a call, go to bed. Now, hope to hear from you soon. What do you think? Study now. And then I moved on to this exercise here. It's kind of a game I came up with called 2 out of 3. You have four possibilities here. Go through this possibility. What's this? China, England, France, Japan. Right? So team 1 over here, you are he is from, and team 2, you are she is from. So team 1, he is from where? He is from where? You can say he is from France. He is from France. Okay, so 1, that's 1. We need 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. You have 1. Team 2, she is from China. Okay, you have 1, so it's 1 to 1. Alright, team 1. He is from England. Yeah, point for team 1. Now he lives in, and she lives in, he lives in. So maybe I'll go over to team 2. Team 2, she lives in Japan. Alright, 1 for team 2. Team 1, he lives in England. Alright, so 1 to 1 again. Team 2, she lives in China. Oh, team 1 gets another point. Now she speaks, and I switched it over here. So she speaks, team 1, and team 2, you are he speaks. And you have French, you have Japanese, you have English, and you have Chinese. So I'll go back to team 2 now because maybe they lost 2 rounds. I'll give them another chance. So he speaks Japanese. Alright, there he was, 1 point. Team 1, she speaks Chinese. That's 1 to 1. Team 2. She speaks English. There you go. Team 2 gets a point. And then like I said in the curriculum, they use this language here: likes very much, likes a little, doesn't like, and doesn't like at all. So I asked the question, does she like Japanese? We go through the different options, and I ask them to answer. Does she like Japanese? No, she likes Japanese a little. Alright, so team 1 says she likes Japanese a little. She doesn't like Japanese. She doesn't like Japanese. Alright, let's see what we got. She likes Japanese a little. So we got a point for this team. Do they like French? Kind of just go around the class. Maybe I'll do more than, maybe I'll do 2 or 3 students, maybe 4 students. The one who gets it right, whatever team they're on, the team gets the point. So, do they like French? They like French. No. They don't like French. Does he like Chinese? He likes Chinese very much. He likes Chinese. Do you like English? This is kind of fun. Well, do you like English? I like Chinese. I like English a little. I don't like English. I don't like English at all. I like English a little. Alright. Then we get to this, where I ask them to make sentences with those expressions. So you can say, I like USA very much. And what I decided to do here is to just kind of add up the points. So team 1, I'll say, okay, team 1, make a sentence. And they might say, I like the USA very much. Alright, so alright. Okay, team 1, you got 4 points. Team 2, make a sentence. Pick a student. I don't like French. Alright, so you have 8 points. And then we just go back to the team 1, make another sentence. I like Chinese. Alright, 7 points. And so the object here is I go through, make as many sentences as you can. Next team, I don't like Canada at all. Alright, 8 points. I like China a little. 8 points. And we can't do the last one, so we wouldn't do that. So I would only do the 2 questions there. And then you just kind of add up the points. That's my new kind of strategy with these slides, instead of just doing the highest. Just take all the how many points they earn, how many points the team as a total earns, and then you just kind of say whoever gets the most points gets the point. Then we moved on to rock, paper, scissors role plays. Here I pick a student from one side, and there's a student on the other team. You're the blue and you're the white. So Who is the letter from? It's from my mother. It's from so-and-so. Do they speak English? No, they speak Japanese. Do they live in Japan? Yes, they do. Wow, they sound really cool. And so what you do is you just kind of have them go through it with them once, and then maybe have them do it on their own. And then at the end of it, rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins the rock, paper, scissors gets the point. And then I usually have them choose. I'll let them choose the next student to do it on their team, so they can look at their members of their team and choose somebody, and this team over here can choose somebody from their team, and they kind of have fun with that. It's kind of their chance to have some fun with each other. 10-second check. I'm just kind of going through the name list. I find a student. Okay, give me a sentence. I like blah blah very much. Point. I like England very much. And that's usually the end of the class. The 10-second chats. Kind of how I like to wrap it up. And then we're ready for next week. Chinese. Please no. This was in. I thought this was in. This was an extra listening that I kind of edited out. I didn't use it or utilize it for this class. But
who is your best friend? My best friend is my brother. He is always there when I need him.
I tried it out with a class, and I thought it was a little difficult for them. So here I might ask them a question instead of asking them to recite what they heard, or going over the entire dialogue, line after line. I might just ask them, listen, and ask them a question.
2 or 3 close friends is enough. How many friends do you have? 2 or 3 close friends is enough.
How many friends are enough? All right. So we moved on into family. This would be the following week, the follow-up lesson. Starting off the same way we usually do. Some rules. And some new vowels. What I try to do is maybe one week do consonants, and the following week I'll do vowel sounds. Here we use the EUW, the U sound. It's kind of fun to get them to say U as in news. U as in blue. U as in moon. U as in shoes. And U as in soup. And we just kind of go through another exercise of, start the lesson off with kind of warm-up exercise, getting their muscle memory, building up their muscle memory. It's just like if you were doing a sport, you do the same drill, you do the same workout every practice. You, new. And once again, I'll, probably give them the consonants and vowels that we're not looking at, like n, e, f. What's this? U, w, nephew, nephew. There's a W there. So here, it's got our What's this? U. What's this? Sharoon. Sometimes I kind of catch myself with words that can be mistakenly said in slang. I guess that's kind of one of the advantages of doing this here too, is to get them. Why are we back at this slide? Oh, I did a review for this class because I didn't really feel with some of the classes I got to really engage this language to the extent that I wanted to. So if I feel that way, I'll maybe bring back a few slides the following class and review some of that language. And here I changed the 2 out of 3 to reflect that. So I kind of switched. So I used one of the games they were familiar with, and I just kind of switched it over to kind of review this language using the same thing. So he likes, Team 1, he likes England. Team 2, we like France. Ooh, Team 1 wins. Don't like, she likes very much. I got the languages there. Make sentences. Once again, I did this as a review because I felt we didn't do enough work with that language. Now I have a second listening exercise. This is specifically the family. We have the different members of the family, and here I just kind of I asked them to tell me who is who. So if I say number 1, daughter, which one is daughter? A, B, C, D, or A? Daughter. F, F. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, actually, no, it's not daughter. Stepdaughter. All right, number 2, father. Which one is father? Which one is father? D. The one I'm looking for. Could say A too. I should probably put A over there also. No one actually said that. So, number 3, grandmother. Grandmother. E. Number 4, son. We could say D also. 5 is mother, and 6 is grandfather. And I had that kind of pop up on the other side. Quick exercise, kind of the language. I have a brother, American name, China. Sister speaks Japanese. She lives in blank Chinese. A quick sort of description. I have remember she, so sister. She lives in China. She speaks Chinese. I was going to do more with that, and I decided to just kind of leave it one slide since I had to do so much review. I felt I was doing a lot of review in this lesson, so I just kind of kept that to one slide. If I wasn't doing as much review with that likes and don't like, I probably would have maybe done a few more of those slides. Then we have a listen exercise here. I just decided to change it to something called listen twice. So what I'll do is I'll play it twice.
Hi, welcome to my home. My name is Paul. I'm 12 years old and this is my beautiful family. Hi, welcome to my home. My name is Paul. I'm 12 years old and this is my beautiful family.
And then I have a question. How old is Paul? First I'll see if anybody remembered it right off the top of the hand. If they can tell me right off the top of their head, they get the point. If not, I give them the options. 12 years old. Listen twice.
This is my sister Lydia, who is 10. She is in the 4th grade. Her favorite school subject is English. This is my sister Lydia, who is 10. She is in the 4th grade. Her favorite school subject is English.
Well, I got a question for you. It moves. I don't want to move freezing up here. What is Lydia's favorite school subject? I remember English.
My mom is a nurse and she works in a hospital. When she gets home, she always helps us with our homework.
What does Paul's mom do? And this was kind of important. In this language, in their textbooks, in their curriculum, it kind of gets into what does your mother do and occupations a little bit. I prepared a lot for this lesson with jobs and occupations. But I decided to make that a whole nother lesson. Here we're just kind of starting to introduce that language. She's a nurse.
My dad is a photographer. He travels pretty often with his job. On weekends, we sometimes go on bike rides together.
This is a how often does Paul's dad travel? Now this is a video I found on YouTube. I think it was I can't remember who does it. Which one was that? Let me pull it up. Who did this? Who did this? Kids Pages, a channel called Kids Pages. They did video, and I decided to use theirs.
This is my uncle, my mom's brother. His name is Simon. He and my dad are brothers-in-law.
Who is Simon?
This is my aunt. She is my uncle's wife. Her name is Grace.
Name of Paul's aunt?
They have 2 kids, a 3-year-old daughter named Lizzie, and a newborn son. They are my cousins.
Who is Lizzie?
This is my grandma. She and my grandpa are farmers and they live on a big farm in the countryside.
I should really kind of. I left the written language in there, but I kind of feel I should maybe just take that
My grandpa is 60 and he wakes up very early in the morning every day. He is very funny. He tells us many great jokes and makes us laugh so much.
It's kind of a long listening exercise, so I decided to just make it questions like this, listening, instead of having to recite it. Here I think it's kind of important to talk about when we talk about mother's side and father's side, whose parents, my mother's or father's side. Another listening exercise here, I want to talk about maybe the relations. So if I say number 1, we go through it, aunt, brother, uncle, grandmother, cousins, and nephew. Here we're just using the new language of aunt and uncle and cousins. So I say, if she is my father's mother, who is it? She is my father's mother. It's a grandmother, right? Number 2, she is my mother's sister. My mother's sister. Who could that be? Right. She is my father's, or he is my father's brother. He is my father's brother. Uncle. Well, he is my mother and father's son and my younger sibling. He is my mother and father's son and my younger sibling. They are my mother's sister's children. My mother's sister's children. And he is my older brother's son. My older brother's son. We got into dialogue duels, and here what I do is I have maybe one student pick one student from one side, one team, another student from the other team. I have them stand up. I have them face away from the board, and I'll say 1, 2, 3. This is my, and you just kind of go into one student. Whoever can say it, whoever says it firstly, this is my aunt. They win the point. I'll have the other student recite, who is it? This is my aunt. This is my aunt. If they don't get it, if they get it wrong, this is my sister. I'm like, no, if this is my, so it's just kind of a duel until the one gets the correct answer. The other one I'll have say the language. Once again, with these, I like to have, once we have a winner, they get the point, and they get to choose who the next contestants are, or who the next participants will be, or the next students will be. Cousin, 2 students, 1, 2, 3. Brother. 2 students. 1, 2, 3. Grandfather. 2 students. It's kind of a fun exercise. I always get kind of involved with this. This is my. Stuff with, this is my wife. This is kind of a new one, so it's kind of a trick one in there. See if anybody knew it. Wife. Now, it's okay. It's tough when you have 40 students, and you're trying to get all the students to be speaking. This is kind of good because, all the students will be shouting out, but that's kind of the point of it. It gets kind of loud, but, you want them using the language. If they're shouting it out, that's actually pretty good. That means they're remembering the language off the top of their head. They're also listening to each other. They're also listening to each other for the answers. And that, I can't say it enough that really the language is the game. That you're trying to get them to engage. That's like using the correct words is really all. And if they can correct each other, that's great. And then we go to 10-second chats. Just kind of wind up. Dialogue duels. And like I said, this lesson also incorporated jobs and occupations, but I decided to kind of take that out and isolate that as its own presentation, which I'll go over in another video. But that's all for this lesson. Let's just take a quick look at aunt, brother, grandpa, cousin, and that's all. Alright, so that's friends and family. I hope there's some ideas in here that can help you in your class if you're looking for sort of ways of approaching the topic. I hope there's some ideas in here you can use. If you do so, please let me know in the comment section below. Any questions also, you can ask them there, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, please click like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Let me know my content is useful to people out there. Otherwise, this is OUTTAKE ESL. We will talk to you later.